So we've got a conservative radio host, Barbara Espinosa, and she's going to be talking to a caller. The caller is going to suggest that the president has rabbit ears, and the host herself is going to go much, much further. Let's listen in.
See that rabbit ears guy who's sitting in the White House and what he's done to this nation in 3 years.
I call him a monkey. I don't call him guy with rabbit ears. I call him a monkey. And I call him, I don't believe in calling him the first black president. I think he should, I voted for the white guy myself.
Really? I couldn't tell. So asked to apologize for calling the president a monkey, and then making it extra clear by saying, I voted for the white guy. So it wasn't like it was an accident and had nothing to do with a racial reference. She then turns around and makes sure you know that it's a racial reference by saying, I voted for the white guy. She said, no, I refuse. She thinks she's courageous and making a stand for the First Amendment. Look, everybody gets that you get to say it under the First Amendment. Nobody's looking to arrest you. But is it a smart idea to call an African-American president a monkey? No, I would venture to guess it's not a smart idea. But this day and age in conservative radio, there's no accountability. Among conservatives, period, there's no accountability. Who knows? Maybe her ratings will go up. Now, here's an interesting point. Almost at the same time, Bill Maher referred to the Republican Party as the party of apes. In fact, let me give you the full quote. He said, the idea that blame for our government's dysfunction is equally shared by the parties is a giant steaming mound of horseshit. And anyone who has paid attention to politics over the last 20 years knows it, or as I like to call it, the rise of the party of the apes. Now, I'm going to say Espinosa is guilty and Bill Maher is not guilty. Now, go ahead, conservatives, everybody else, scream, bias, bias, I can't believe that you see that as such a double standard. No, but it's not a double standard, it's context. So there's a long history in this country, unfortunately, of African Americans being called many, many different derogatory names, including specifically monkeys. So when you say about an African American, it carries with it some weight. You know, same thing you could say about Jews in Germany or Jews here, or, you know, etc. There's certain things that have been used to mar those people, and you should be a little careful about that, knowing the history behind it, right? Now, on the other hand, can you make a point about how the Republican Party, or even the Democratic Party, if it applies to a party, is not evolved? I think of course you can. To use an ape reference, meaning that they're not evolved, I think is perfectly fair. And it doesn't have to do, in that case, about white or black. It doesn't have to do about which party. But when you say it about, there is no historical reference where the Republicans are called apes and hence got lynched for it, as has happened with African Americans in this country. No. In fact, they call themselves an animal anyway, an elephant. Okay. By the way, why did the Democrats call themselves jackasses? Think about it. Okay, gee, I wonder how they wound up being the party of losers. Anyway, so I agree with Bill Maher. I think that the idea of this false balance, oh, everybody's equally guilty, is nonsense. I think the Republican Party is obstinate, intransigent, and backwards. They're against science. There's another story out today about how they're against science. They don't want to hear about science. They don't want to hear about evolution. And so I think saying that they're not involved and they're the party of the apes is perfectly acceptable. And he even gives a specific example, and throughout the Young Turks history, we've only given you 1,000, but I'll give you this one too. Indiana State Treasurer Richard Murdoch, of course, just beat Richard Lugar, long-sitting Republican senator in Indiana, in a primary. And here's what Maher said. And after Murdoch won, he said this about the working with the other side. I certainly think bipartisanship ought to consist of Democrats coming to the Republican point of view, which is sort of like saying to your girlfriend, I think both of our sexual needs will be fulfilled by you blowing me. A fair analogy. Okay. Here's one party saying you will do exactly as we tell you to do, and then we'll call a compromise. Otherwise, you're going to get nothing from us. Another party saying, oh, okay. And then everybody calls it even. Well, that's ridiculous. It's not even. Okay, the Republican Party is the backwards party.